It's done. I have finished Malazan Book of the Fallen. Join me today as I dive into the Crippled God and try to give you the best non spoiler review possible. I've spent the last year and a half journeying through these massive books that make up Malazan Book of the Fallen. Why did it take me so much time? It's not that they literally require you to read for a year and a half. Although they do take time, these 10 books clock in at over 16,000 pages. The entire Discworld collection is only a little over 15,000. It's mind blowing how much there is in Malazan Book of the Fallen. But it's not just that. Many of these books were really dense. They had events and themes that required real time to process. After most of these 10 novels, I needed time to breathe. I could not just move right on to the next Malazan novel. The Malazan pause, my friends. It's real. And it's important so that you might fully enjoy and appreciate this series, particularly on a first time through, as I was doing. So I'd go off and read something else and then come back for the next book, refreshed and ready. But I gotta say, even while I was away, Malazan was still kicking around in my head. But I got to the Crippled God. Suddenly, all I could do was read Malazan. I could not put this book down. I slept less. I exercised less. I neglected other things I was trying to also read. I'm always reading 3 things at once, but the other 2 kept getting pushed out of the way because the Crippled God. I just had to read this book. I had to finish. Steven Erikson had spent 9 previous books building up to this one, and he puts on a master class in this book in building up the tension through stressful situations, impossible tasks, incredible sacrifices, with great usage of so many different points of view. Now, he's done that, the different points of view, in all the other books of the series, but here in particular, Erikson lets us get into the perspective, so many different perspectives of our good guys, but also the enemy as well. And of course, the enemy sees themselves as good guys too. They're righteous, they have every justification for their actions as well. There's no one truly evil here. Just we have the side we're cheering for, and then there's the other sides. Multiple conflicts. And I appreciate Steven Erikson's writing that even as we're getting that perspective from the side that's seen as the antagonist, we get to feel empathy for them. We get to understand where they're coming from, what's driving them. It's just so well written. Okay, we get to feel empathy for all of them except Fist Blistig. That might be a touch too far. And finally, we get that ending. Epic! The epic ending of all epic endings. I'd say it matches up in scale, perhaps only out of all the things I've read, to the last battle from the final book of The Wheel of Time by Robert Jordan. And potentially, it surpasses it. This is why we have a subgenre called epic fantasy. Wow. Amazing. Superb. What other superlative can I throw out there? I'll be doing a number of additional episodes based on my completion of this series. I'm in the club now, and there's just so much to talk about. But here for you are some key points that make this book just a brilliant read. And I'm going to deliver this in a mostly spoiler-light format, just in case you are actually watching this before reading the book. It'll be okay. I'm not going to ruin it for you. For the majority of you, you've already read it, and you'll know much more what I'm talking about. So here's these key points I draw from this book. 1, I appreciated how so many storylines were successfully wrapped up, while others are left hanging, but we still get callbacks and cameos related to those particular storylines. I mean, this book does not end everything. I kind of value that. It's a critical final chapter in one particular massive story. And it's definitely a final chapter for many individuals. But the greater story of this world and the people within it continues, which is a really good thing. I do look forward to dipping back into Malazan with the additional novels that are out there waiting for me. I valued the theme of duty and loyalty to each other when nothing else seems to make much sense. We see the Malazan army and many of their allies persevering through suffering, hardship, great tribulation, when they don't entirely understand what's going on. I mean, the common person doesn't always get the why. People don't take the time to explain it to the grunts. What really matters to them, then, is how you live and how you die, and perhaps who you die for. That matters way more than this grand purpose and vision that some officers somewhere must understand. They are there for each other. That's a powerful theme. We need to be there for each other. Another key point: how the core of the Malazan army survives in the midst of the Crystal Desert. This was brilliant, and something I had completely forgotten about. I was disappointed in myself when it came up. I'm like, that's right. You know, that item that Tavor Perrin makes use of. As soon as this thing comes about, I remembered the significance of that moment when she first received it, and then it just gets tucked away in my brain. Hidden, honestly, by Steven Erikson's writing. There's no focus on it, no pointing or referencing until all of a sudden, here it is again. So much else has happened in between time, but when it reappears at just the particular perfect time, it was awesome. I loved seeing Karsa Orlong fulfill his promise to Fenner, and the result. Hmm. Though that result had some harsh challenges for many who were impacted by it. I mean, it was like, oh, what a great result. Oh, but right now, not so great. But definitely a win for the first sword. Ah, Bryce Beddick's storyline resolution. So good. I really didn't see that coming. I fully expected us to, have an end there and, served his purpose and now be disappointed. But nope, we found a way. And I was quite satisfied with what we got. Another one: seeing how the literal crippled God is addressed in this book was fascinating. I still don't have all the answers to what really went on there, but I'm still pretty happy with what I saw. Oh my goodness. And then there's so many deaths, particularly in the final battles, but so heroic. And of course, in this series, death is not the end. We have seen that again and again. Right, Hedge? Fiddler. Fiddler has some key moments in this book, and you just have to love him. Yeah, you have to feel for him at times, but still, he's such a character. And what he chooses to do for Corlat and his very good friend, Spoiler-Lite, won't say who, right at the end of the book. Mwah. The resolution of Grub and Sin's storylines was amazing. Two extremes. Now, the one I saw coming. It was pretty foreshadowed. We've definitely been pointing in the direction of where it went at the end. And of course, I'm talking about her there. But for him, oh man, that was awesome. I loved seeing how things go for Grub, how he plays into the story there. That was great. Honestly, both of those storylines, their resolutions were huge, were impactful, and amazing. Mappo. Oh man, he finally reunites with Akarium, though it doesn't end well. And yet, it ends exactly as Mappo would have wanted, at least the final result. And one has to love the ending Ublala Pung gets and how that's tied in. Him and his companion. I mean, he gets to have two companions now. Wow. And that big finish for Stormy and Gessler. Man, dang it. That kind of got me. It felt right. I mean, it was so right. Harsh. And really? For a dog? A special dog. You know what I mean. If you haven't read this, that makes no sense to you, but trust me, you'll know what I mean. I loved the final scene with Tuck the Younger. Something he strove for through unbelievable hardship throughout the entire freaking series. And man, that was just good when that happens there at the end. And thank you, Steven Erikson, for taking just a moment to give us Apsalar and Crocus again. Just saying. Okay, 3 final mic drop moments that I want to give a nod to. I appreciated, firstly, the multiple references by Fiddler in this book to the opening scene of Gardens of the Moon when Whiskey Jack is trying to discourage Gano's parent, just this young pup, from becoming a soldier. Ganos has this look in his eyes and what he thinks it's all about, and Whiskey Jack is like, nah, you don't want to do this, son. Go another direction. It was so long ago at the time we're reading the end of the book, and so much has passed since. I mean, Ganos went on to be so absolutely critical to all of this. There are numerous things he does in this book that I haven't even mentioned at all, but you know it if you've read it already. And there's Whiskey Jack at the beginning of all this, trying to talk him out of even going down such a route. And then the bridge burners, a little later in the story, actually try to kill him for being a lousy leader early on. That was just how the bridge burners rolled. Well, Ganos came a long way. The second mic drop moment, Ganos and Tavor when they finally get their reunion. We've never seen them on screen together except a little flashback moment way back early. And now, when they get together, at the end of all things, and Tavor shares that she knows her sister Felicin is gone, that she lost her. And I inferred from that, as she's breaking down in Ganos' arms, that she knows she's the one that killed her. Even though all the others shielded her from that information, she had it. She carried that as one more thing that was just part of what had to happen to complete her mission. Wow. Tavor is really something. Which leads me to my biggest reveal. Greatest mic drop moment that I found so satisfying. If I interpreted this correctly, so if I've got this wrong, okay, that's what the comment box is for. Let me know. Now, this is the one thing I'm definitely telling you people. Big spoiler. So if you want no spoilers, skip ahead to the next break here in the video. The chapters, I put those in. But when Tavor is preparing for the final battle, and Lostara Yil is assisting her, and Tavor says, help me untie this necklace on behind. And you see it's a talon on the necklace. And she acknowledges, yeah, I've been the Emperor's all along. She's one of Emperor Kalimved's talons. This organization was pretty much gone before we ever hear anything about Tavor Perrin. This is revealing that she was secretly part of the Talons. Meaning when she joined Empress Lysine as her new adjunct, she was already a Talon. She did this on the Emperor's orders. Even though he'd already, risen and become Shadow Throne, she's been working right there along the way, following the Emperor's orders. This is why she's known more than anybody else around her. This is why she's had complete faith in what she needs to do, in the purpose. She's been heart and soul part of the Emperor's mission. And she's lived it all through. Completely faithful. The best servant you could ask for. It explains so much. And it's just so impressive how steadfast she was through everything that went down. Even when no one else understood a thing about what was going on and how this could possibly work out, She never strays. Just amazing. So I loved that reveal. Now, some parts of the book still leave me a bit head scratching. So here's just a few of them that jump out that I'm like, I don't think I understand enough of what's happened here or why. I don't understand what all that was about with the shake, the Leosin, the Rift, Carcanus, and Sanderlat, Drukerlot names. What was the big deal back there at Carcanus, and then the Alaint coming through, and then that whole battle in the sky? I mean, why did this massive battle have to happen right now in the first place? Just the fact that the Sheikh followed a path to Carcanus? Is that what triggered it? It's not really explained. It's almost like they'd been waiting, maybe, but if they just wanted to get through, couldn't they have done that before it was being defended? The Leosins? We just saw bits and pieces of them throughout the series, and suddenly they're trying to break through and take over the city and wipe. I'm like, I don't get it. And why the Sheikh had to defend the shore. No, I'm missing pieces there. So that's one's got me scratching my head. And back to the dragons, the Alaint, however you'd pronounce it. What was up with that? And the Autoteral dragon? That just confused the heck out of me. Somehow that's tied to magic even existing. Okay, I don't fully understand. And why the dragons, the Alaint, need to take down the Autoteral dragon. Why do they have to chain her again? I mean, on the surface level, I saw the action. I understood what was happening. I see how she's saved and then somehow put to use near the end, but the why completely escapes me. I've just got surface level on that baby. And finally, let's talk about elder gods. Okay, I know at least one of them was wiped out, Kilimandrus, but what happened to the rest of them? They were moving in the background. I know Male has always kind of been working for the good side and has a role to play, but he has restrictions, and then he's a vengeful sea god at times. I mean, he's complicated too. But then latter part of the story, for the most part, they just kind of go away. Wait, what? Why'd they just disappear? I don't know. Was that Draconis's doing? I'm not sure. And speaking of gods, we've got Drek playing an important role at the end. After seemingly, some books ago, going crazy and killing every priest of that god's religion, but now suddenly, except the one priest, Banishar, who's right there with the adjunct through all of this. And apparently the reason is Drek had a role to play, a very important role at the end in defending the Crippled God, because Tavor Perrin won Drek over. What? Again, sort of confusing. I'm not saying I didn't like these parts of the story, not at all, but I definitely feel like I don't understand enough. But I'd say this is all part of the glory of Malazan Book of the Fallen. Many things revealed, many plot points tied up in very satisfying ways, but definitely not everything. Tons of mysteries remain, plenty of things for the fan base to chew on for years to come, as they have been doing, and chewing that I can now fully be a part of. So, I invite you who've watched this now and have already read these books, use the comment box, share with me anything else you think I should know. If there's any huge parts of this, the Crippled God, that I totally left out here, plop them in there. Anything you love and want to talk about. If there's any of the answers to my questions that you think you can help me with and just want to share a little bit, I'm all ears. Well, eyes. I'll read what you post. And I look forward to seeing these responses. Of course, in our show notes, there are other ways you can connect with me and my son, Zach, on the channel. We've got a Discord server. You can talk to me over there. I'm on Twitter a lot. I've got an email address, any of these ways. But the comment box here certainly works. Eventually, I know about the Malazan Wiki. I'll go dig in there and get a lot of my answers from what people have already been postulating for years. but I've not spent a lot of time there so far. I've wanted to go through these books as a pure reader, not with a lot of extra knowledge. I've only used the Malazan wiki when I know, oh, this character, okay, I remember this character from previous books, and I'd go look, okay, how was this character involved in, the earlier books, and then I'd stop. That's all I've used it for so far. There's a lot more to dig into there, and I'm going to do that, but I've got a few more Malazan videos planned that I'm going to do first, still as a pure reader, not out there into all the other speculations and spoilers. Nevertheless, I will happily look at anything you decide to drop in the comment box. That's where I'll leave you today. Thanks for watching. We'll talk to you next time.